This is We the Sales Engineers Podcast, show 261.
Welcome to We the SEs Podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramzi Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ramzi Majaba. I am a solution specialist out of Ottawa, Canada. That's another terminology for sort of hybrid salesperson, sales engineer, focusing more on the sales part than the sales engineering part, but not wanting to admit it to yourself because you don't want to be in sales. That's the long title, short title, solution specialist. So in addition to my job, I actually run We the Sales Engineers. Obviously, you're here, you're listening to this. Part of that is the SE Hotline, where I coach aspiring SEs on how to become SEs, how to be good ones, and the good SEs or new SEs, good SEs, doesn't matter, into becoming great ones. Included in the service is every other Friday I have a training session about sales engineering. The last one I did, the training session was supposed to be about technical skills, as in how technical you need to be, not necessarily learn how to do REST API or AWS or stuff like that. So because it's interactive, because there are people on the call, they ask questions which took the conversation somewhere completely different than what I was expecting. So I figured if it's useful for them, it might be useful for you as well. So I decided to share it on the podcast. If you are listening to this, know that I am using a whiteboard, a virtual whiteboard, so it's on the computer. I talk a lot, so a lot of the information, you can still hear it. But if you were to go on YouTube and watch it, it wouldn't hurt either. And you're going to hear some questions, you're going to hear some concerns from the people on the call. But that's part of being in a kind of class setting. If you're interested in joining that, you can connect with me. You can chat with me, ask me any questions. And that's it for that. Let's just jump into what we were discussing. I will not be coming back after this because there is no point. So I'll be signing off immediately in the video. So I'll see you later. All right, so let's talk about sales engineering and like the building blocks of sales engineering. Like any other sport, if you will, there are multiple things that we need to do to actually get better. So if we think about basketball, LeBron James, he had to learn how to dribble, he had to learn how to shoot, how to do layups. All these are different skills, how to pass. All these are different skills that he has to master to be a good basketball player. Same, you can look at the same example with a pianist or a badminton player. There are a set of skills that people need to do. The difference is, like, LeBron James has been playing basketball since he was 3 years old. So he's had time to practice, and when he gets to the NBA, he's already put in the time to be like someone who would survive the NBA. And in LeBron James's case, he did very well the first few years as well. The thing about sales engineering is that even though it's a sport, no one has done it since they were 3 years old. We just jump in, we become sales engineers, and everybody expects us to be the best at sales engineering. And that's not how it works. And you're going to suck for a long time unless you work on the building blocks. And when we talk about building blocks, there are a few things that SEs need. And I classify them into like technical skills, human skills, communication skills, and then I have other skills for like extra if you want to go above and beyond. And today's main focus for this session, we're going to be talking about technical skills. Right? And when I say technical skills, I'm going to share my screen quickly. Not quickly, I'm going to share my screen. And I want you guys if like you're watching or whoever's on the call right now, when I say technical skills, no, that's not how you write technical. Tech skills. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think of SQL. I think of Python. I think of CRM.
Okay, that's good. Benny?
Yeah, my mind goes straight to like, you have to be like, good at engineering, like, how you have to learn about, the engineering language. Basically, you have to know. I remember they were talking about a program that I had no idea about. So what are they talking about? So yeah, like basically, I think of code, technical skills. I think of maybe you're going to code.
Okay,
It comes to mind. Mhm.
okay. And that is a common misconception that SEs will have to code. I mean, we had Damien the other day. He said that he codes all day long, but he's the exception to the rule.
Okay.
Knowing any technology is good, right? But the important part about knowing technology isn't knowing that technology; it's knowing what you can do with it. Really. So when we talk about tech skills, we have the actual like, and it's going to be different from one place to another. But you have product knowledge. Like if I take James for example, you know Adobe editing suite very well, right?
More so Final Cut, but yeah.
Isn't Final Cut part of Adobe? Anyways,
No.
shows how much I know about editing. Anyway, so you know Final Cut, you know the
Yeah.
product. Do you know how it was built?
No.
So you don't know the code.
No.
Can you still talk about why it's good and what the benefits of Final Cut?
Yes.
Okay, so you have some technical skills in that aspect,
Okay.
and that's one thing. Like, when we talk about product knowledge, it's going to be one of those days. When we talk about product knowledge, we're not necessarily talking about how to build it and how to configure little things in it. We're talking about you know how to use it, you know how your customers are going to use it, what benefits it brings the customers, how it makes their life better. If you want to show it, you know how to show it. If you need to install it, you know how to install it. Right? None of which are how to build it or how the code works. And you're not alone. Like when you're working on a product, you're not in a vacuum. There's like a bunch of people working together. So you might not know everything. And like if you look at sales engineers, you have generalist, generally speaking, and you have specialist. And each one has different technical skills requirement. Benny, can you think of a difference between the two, between a generalist and a specialist?
Oh. Journalists, I feel like they kind of write about it. And then the specialists is like kind of can explain it in my head because journalists is like I'm thinking of like them being in like the news. I don't know if my thoughts are going the right way.
Okay, so let's think about it this way. I mean,
Okay.
you work at Crossbeam. How many products does Crossbeam have?
So far we have two.
2 products.
Mhm.
And are they both doing the same thing or similar things in the same technology stack, I guess?
Okay, one was built on the other, but they are not doing so one depend on the other to work for it to work. I mean, if
Okay.
you understand what I'm saying, yeah. They
Yeah.
depend on each other. One depend on the other one.
Okay. So you have two products. An SE there can learn it inside out, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I work at a company. So I worked in network support, network support for a long time at a company called Alcatel-Lucent. I was support on one product line.
Okay.
So I just covered this one product line. There was another team covering this product line. Another team. We had hundreds and hundreds of product lines. And each team had its own support. But you had one SE selling all these products.
Oh, wow.
So that one SE is not going to know everything about everything in these products.
Yeah.
So what the SE had, he had like he knew about all the products, so he was but he didn't know enough about each product. So he was like inch deep, mile wide, or like jack of all trades,
Yeah.
master of none. So from a technical perspective, this generalist SE will not be very like as technical as it could be. They might be very technical with one or two products, but not all of them. Now, at Nokia, each, like, let's say, groups of products that did similar things had specialists. So, like, if I were to use technical terms, these were like service routers that did IP MPLS very well. These were microwave devices, and here's like optical devices, for example. And each one had its own specialized SE or like SE team. So now the specialist SEs had to have deep product knowledge. They didn't have to know anything about the other products at all. I mean, the more you know, the better, because now very likely when the SE and the sales team is selling the product, they might be selling a combination. They're not just selling one of one product. They're selling a combination. So you might have some idea about everything, but they're not experts. They're gonna have to have technology knowledge. Tech knowledge. Right? Because, like, for example, at your company, Benny, you had two products. One is built on top of the other. The SE might have to have some idea about the tech stack, how they're built, how they work, why they were built that way, how they integrate with their customers' stuff, right? As Jarvis SEs may or may not have that experience. The better, the more knowledge the SE has, the easier job they will have.
Okay. As a journalist or as a specialist?
Well, the specialists, they will not be able to do the job if they don't have knowledge.
Okay. So
Right.
journalist is having the knowledge.
Exactly, like deep knowledge of the product and the technology stack. The SE, and also the value here. The SE, they know how all these products might work together. They know a little bit about all the products. They know the business value of each product. Right. So they're kind of in between sales and the specialist sales engineers. Right.
Okay.
Right. So from I think I explained this in a different video, but journalists, like, let's say this is well, I think this is the United States. I don't know. the SE here is a generalist SE, and he's in, let's say, North Carolina, right? He or she may have a territory that's the east coast of the US, right?
Mm.
And then you might have another one who's like Midwest, and then you might have another one who, or like you might have 10 here who are West Coast, right? And here you might have more than one. And let's say each one of them, like he owns the Midwest, but he owns one type of customers in the Midwest. Like let's say service providers. These guys own small, medium business, right? And they split it that way all over. So for all of these, now these are geographically based. They own the customer set. They're working with customers on a day-to-day basis. And then when, let's say they're working on a product, like let's say this generalist is trying to sell a product here, then this specialist gets flown in. Like there's one specialist for all of the US about these products. For example, they fly in, talk to the customer, and then they're done. Then they go fly in, talk to this customer, and then they're done. Then they go fly in, talk to this customer. Now it could be a team, could be more than one. It's just an example. Depends on how many customers they have, how big the company is, and all that. But these are the different technical skills that each one requires. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. So one of the big things. Go ahead, Benny.
So they're in different region and they might be selling different products, so they might have to need different knowledge depending on the product and also the region they are in, right? That's what you were just explaining, where they travel to different customers.
Well, the specialists have knowledge in the same set of products, one set of products they bring around with them that they come and talk to all the customers about. These generalist SEs have knowledge in all these products, just not as deep.
Oh, okay.
But they usually know the customers a lot more than the specialists do, because these guys work with the customers all day long.
Oh, the generalist ones, that's what I was saying, like, okay, they actually go to the customers, and then we have the specialist ones that they
specialists go to customers as well, but like specialists go to a lot more customers for shorter engagements, whereas generalists, they own a specific set of customers. Excuse me, or customers within a specific set of specific territory, so they deal with them more, especially for enterprise SEs. Like SEs who work with big companies, right?
Okay.
Like for me, I work with maybe 3 customers over and over and over. I have a lot of smaller ones that I don't deal with as much, that I come in every once in a while, but I have 3 customers that are just mine. And like, if a specialist is coming in to see them, I have to invite them. They can't come in on their own. Like, there will be a war if a specialist comes to talk to my customers behind my back.
Whoa.
Thanks.
And you have these 3.
I'm dramatic too, so maybe not a war, but
Okay, makes sense. But so you have these customers for how long?
Well, I've had them for 10 years.
Wait a minute.
Well,
so you keep the relationship going on?
Yes. Well, again, depends. So it depends on the product you're selling. Depends how expensive it is. Depends on the business that you're working for. So that's all right. That's a conversation. So I work for a big company that keeps coming up with new products, and I work in kind of IT / communications. And you'll find, like, if you look at legacy security companies are in the same boat, where like we have one customer or we have 3 customers that we just work with over and over. They're big customers, like billion-dollar customers.
Oh, wow.
For example, there's a team here in Canada for every company you can think of that only works with the government of Canada.
Oh,
Like the federal team, and there's the same in the US.
Now, that's a team I wouldn't mind being a part of.
Yeah, I mean, like if there's enough for them to buy over and over and over, then you can just keep working with these customers, and they're easy. Like, you don't have to jump through hoops every single time. Like, whereas, like in SaaS right now, especially if you're in the like small to medium business or mid market, there isn't enough meat on the bone for each of these to just sell over and over. I mean, like let's say like someone buys a crossbeam, right? The next year they might renew, but they're not gonna buy more. Like they're not gonna buy the next crossbeam product, for example,
okay.
right? So now because of that, you're gonna have to keep like one customer is not enough. You're just gonna have to keep finding customers, finding customers, finding customers, finding customers. Over and over and over. And if you're an SE, you're just jumping from here to here to here, doing demo, and you don't really like. That's more of an inside SE kind of role.
This reminds me of I did retail arbitrage or electronic phone flipping, and like you're describing, I had a lot of regulars, but even though the regulars were good, they were small, so I had to keep, like you said, jumping from one to the next, 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 to the next. A few of them I could float for a month if I needed to, but that's a whole nother side of the business. But the pieces are starting to come together for me.
Cool. I'm glad. So yeah, I mean, like having 3 customers. The problem with sales engineering and sales in general, like I have these 3 customers. This year they bought my quota was, let's say, quota in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
That was $1 million. Sold $1.3 million. I made an extra $300,000, so I got paid extra commission on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now in 2023, now my quota, they said, all right, you made $1.3 million last year. We need 10% growth. So now my quota, instead of being $1 million like it was last year, now it's 1.43 million. Now because they're the same customers and they buy a lot, each year they're gonna ask for discounts.
Okay.
Right. So as a sales engineer or as a salesperson, they would have to negotiate more with these guys, and now they got a discount now, and instead of selling 1.3 million, they bought the same exact number of equipment as they did before, but now it cost them 1.2 million.
So now you got to make the other 0.23.
So now you're like here you're at 130% of quota. Here you're at 80 something. Let's say 87% of quota. So you went from an overachiever to an underachiever.
Because you have only one product.
Well, no, not necessarily only one product. Let's say you have multiple different products, but you're selling over and over. The company didn't come up with anything new. So let's say you have Windows desktops, right?
Yeah.
In 2020, they hired 1 million new people or 100,000 new individuals for the company. So it was 1 million. They bought $1.3 million worth of new computers. And then in 2023, they hired the same amount of people as well, or they hired less people, or they hired the same amount of people, but some people already left from the past. They have old computers they can give them. They negotiated a better price. They didn't buy as much. So you sold less. And even
Yeah.
if you sold the same amount, you're still under quota because the quota went up. And that's what I mean. Like now, the sales team has to go and find new customers. 3 customers is no longer enough. So even if you have 3 customers, you can't just, like, as individuals, we can't just rely on them.
Just the 3, because the next year is discount. So
Discount. Or like now, instead of like when they buy 1.4, like when they buy a computer, instead of it being 8 gigs of RAM here, for example, we're selling 16 gigs of RAM and we can maintain our price. Or we're selling now for each individual, they're selling a laptop and a tablet. So we can make more. That's how we can like hit our quota. We just have to keep selling more and more stuff every year to hit our quota.
oh wow.
And this has nothing to do with technical skills, but I figured you guys need it.
No, this
Yeah,
is good information. I don't
this
remember
is
learning
good.
about this.
What was that, James?
I said this is good information. I don't remember learning about this.
Well, no one will teach you. So yeah, and Benny, you were saying something?
No, I said this was good because I was like, wait, how do you guys maintain quota, and how do you guys, if I'm selling to one company, like the way you guys how do you guys like kind of make money? And this one breaks it down in my brain, makes sense.
I mean, let's talk about like Salesforce, for example. Here. SFDC.
Salesforce?
Yeah, SFDC, Salesforce.
Okay.
They have initially when they started, they had just one product, right? Salesforce.
Mhm.
They sold that to all the companies in the world. So they bought new, and then all these, or most of them, renewed.
Mhm.
So the renewal could be the same price as new. Let's say it's 1 million,
Mhm.
and let's say here it's 1 million. But now, when you look at a CEO or a CFO try to talk to the board of directors, 1 million is no longer enough. Now 1 million is expected. We're expecting more money. We're expecting growth.
Yeah.
So what does Salesforce do? They come up with a new product. I don't know what it was, or they acquire another company.
Mhm.
MuleSoft, for example. Let's say MuleSoft was acquired by Salesforce, and now now they can sell to all these different companies again for $1 million. So now instead of making $1 million a year, they're making $2 million a year. Just example.
Because of the acquisition that they made.
Yeah. Now, I
Okay.
mean, the expenses went up too. Like, right? They have a new product, they have a new engineering. They might take a company and just dissect it and keep some pieces and remove some pieces. But that's how generally it works. And the cycle just keeps going and going and going and going. That's how people grow. That's how companies grow. You either have to come up with a new product you can sell to the same customers, or you have to find new customers and sell the same old product. These are the options for companies to grow.
Interesting.
Are you familiar? Like, since I went off track. No, what's this? I went off track today. Are you familiar with how quota works? Quota attainment?
I'm even trying to understand what the sales quota even at my company, because it's not really like where it's supposed to be. But so I don't mind learning about quota because it makes my head hurt.
Yeah. So, quota is basically expectation or promise. That's how much. So again, let's take Salesforce for example. Nope. Or any company. Let's take company A. Let's say it's an existing company. It's a large company.
Okay.
Right. So in 2020, 2022, again, let's say they made $1 million just to make it easy. Now the board comes and says, well, in 2023, we're expecting 20% growth.
Mm.
So now we want 1.2 million quota, $1.2 million in revenue. So this company A has its CEO, has its CFO, CRO, any other C-suite, whatever, COO. So now the CRO knows that his quota is 1.2 million. Like he needs to hit that so that the board of directors, hey Phil,
Doesn't come up after him.
yeah, so that their stock prices keep increasing, so that the stockholders make money and all that. So what they do is they take that money, the CRO takes that money, and under him is probably the VP of VP of sales for Americas, for APAC, for EMEA. Are you familiar with the APAC and EMEA terms?
Yes, APAC is America, and then EMEA is in Europe, right?
APAC is Asia Pacific.
It is. Oh, okay.
So Americas is Americas.
America is North America.
Yeah, Americas. EMEA is
Yeah.
Europe and the Middle East, and APAC is Asia Pacific.
Asia Pacific.
Yeah, so they take all right, 1.2 million. Let's divide it between these three VPs of sales. Right, so 4 mil. They can divide it equally, or they can say, "Or EMEA did this much last time, and so we're going to give them this growth." Whatever. Now the VPs of sales take this, and they have a bunch of directors underneath them. Directors, and they split that 4 mil, like 1.3, 1.3, whatever is left over. So this is 2.6. So do the math, 1.4. The directors take this and split it between their people. And that's how, in the end, an individual like myself, here, this is me, Ramsey here, I get the quota of 200,000. For example. And I'm crying about it because last year I only made 1.6, 160K last year. And now I have to find an extra 40K somewhere.
Mm.
So now I get my quota of 200,000. Let's go back here.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how you write with a mouse, man. Like, I don't know how you do that. Oh, it's a pen? I was like, damn, like, how are you doing that with a mouse?
That's the whole reason I bought this thing, just because I can. Because I hate presentations.
Are you writing on like an iPad right now?
No, I have a Wacom tablet.
Oh, cool.
So,
gosh, I need that. That's actually really useful.
You should get that. So, let's say my on-target earnings as an SE is $1 million. Is that a good number? Let's say it's 100,000. Generally speaking, if the quota is 200,000, you will not find an SE who has a quota of 100,000 because it has to be much less. So that's my OTEs 100,000. I have an 80-20 split. Are you familiar with the splits, 80-20, if I say that?
Yeah, I saw that in your video.
Okay. So basically that means commission.
Commission, yeah. Commission at 20%, right?
Yep, $20,000.
$10,000. Oh, okay.
And my base is $80,000. So I'm guaranteed the $80,000 no matter what.
Okay.
And then for every 1% of quotas I sell, so this is the beginning of the year, I just had a deal and I sold 1% of quota. So what's 1% of 200,000? 20,000? Sure. Let's go with that. So I sold $20,000 worth of commission quota, and I make 1% of my quota, which is $200. So I just made $200. minus tax, obviously. So here's 0. So the more you sell, it can go up linearly to $20,000. That's how much you make by the end of the year if you hit your quota. If you exceed your quota, usually there's accelerators. So let's say you hit your quota, you did very well, you hit your quota halfway through the year, and you're still going, and now it's even more steep.
Wow.
So you have accelerators. Phil, do you have accelerators?
No, yes, in my comp model? Or,
Yeah.
No. Everything's pretty simple. It's just simple cash variable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be as simple or as complex as my current job, where as long as I'm if this is my quota, I'm drawing this wrong. My quota, let's say it's 1 mil, 1 M, and my commission is, let's say, 20K. If I am less than 50% of my quota attainment, I get paid 0.5% of my commission. So here I was saying, if you get 1% of quota, you get paid 1% of your commission. Here, if you get paid 1% of your quota, you get paid 0.5% of your commission. So it'll be much lower until 0.5. And then if I get over 0.5% of my quota, I get paid 1.5% of my commission. So it goes up.
Mm.
And then if it gets over 100%, I get paid 3 times my commission. So it goes even steeper, and then it drops back down. So it could be something like this, could be something like this, or it could be managed by objectives, which is something completely different. Excuse me.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna pause here. I was supposed to be talking about the skills. So we didn't do that. We talked about this instead. Any questions, thoughts, comments?
How long does it take for you SE to close an account?
It depends on the size of the deal, the complexity of the product,
Yeah.
and how well the salesperson did in qualifying the deal to begin with.
Do you prefer a long sales cycle or a short sales cycle?
Oh, well, the shorter the better. Okay. So if you have short sales cycles, that means you have constant income coming in. You don't have to plan too far ahead. Let's say you sell into the government, your sales cycle could be 2 years.
Years, yeah, it's gonna be forever. But the other thing to think about the sales cycle is, at least for me, in my experience, the longer the sales cycle, the more complicated the product is.
Yep.
Usually it's a little funner too for the SE because there's more technical discovery. So I don't know. I'm not too stuck on how long it is. Like the short sales cycles is probably a very simple product, more transactional sale, right? Like
Yep. Yeah. So for salespeople, love those.
yeah. But for SEs, I kind of like the nitty gritty.
Well, yeah, the SEs are not as incentivized by money as salespeople in general.
Yeah.
Because we're either 80-20 split or 70-30 max. I've never heard of anything higher than that, or lower. Depends how you see it. But we enjoy technology. We enjoy solving problems. So if there isn't a problem to be if they can just download it, use it, and buy it, then we're a waste of time. Why would they even talk to us?
Right.
We need to be able to actually consult and advise and tell people what to do and how to do it and all that, and how it solves their problem. That's the fun part of sales engineering. For me, I know other SEs who love just doing the demos, right? And they're inside sales engineers, and that works for them. All right. Well, I lied. This is the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something out of it. Again, join the podcast. I'm back because when I rewatched the ending, I felt like this is an abrupt ending. So here I am saying goodbye to you formally. Thank you for being here. again, if you need help, join the SE hotline. Give me a call, shout, or whatever. I'll be there in a hurry. There's no need to worry. So, with that, I'm signing off.